Hello everybody and welcome to part 11 of What If Midoriya Had Nightcrawler's Powers. If you've missed any of the previous parts, there will be a link in the description below and the annotation above. As always, if you enjoy this series, leave a like to show your support and show me that you want this series to continue. In the previous episode, the League of Villains attacked the training camp, kidnapping Midoriya and Tokoyami in the process. The next day, in the League of Villains bar, the members of the League prepared two specialized chairs. Shigaraki says, "Mr. Compress, let them out." Mr. Compress says, time for the show to begin. Midoriya and Tokoyami are then released from the little balls that they were compressed in, although they come out unconscious. Shigaraki asks, "Why are they asleep?" Mr. Compress says, "Side effect of my quirk. They'll wake up in a couple of minutes." Shigaraki says, "Great. What are we supposed to do in the meantime?" Kurogiri says, "There is something on the news that might interest you, Tomura Shigaraki." Dabi asks, "What makes you think that you can persuade them to our side?" Shigaraki says, "A couple of days ago I had a talk with one of the 1A brats about Stain, All Might, and many other things. He opened my eyes to something. This society is brought by All Might, and those who have a different appearance because of their quirks are usually discriminated. Isn't that right, Spinner?" Spinner says, "Yes, at least from my experience I was discriminated against my whole life because my quirk made me different." Shigaraki says, "And that's likely true for them as well." Kurogiri says, "Tomura Shigaraki, this is important." They turn on the news and see a news report from UA High. Aizawa says, "We are here to apologize. A recent incident allowed harm to come to 27 of our students, first year heroes, and we staff were ill prepared. We take full responsibility for any trauma caused by our negligence. It's our duty to train heroes, but also to to protect heroes in training." A member of the press says, "Since the beginning of the year, UA students have had 4 encounters with villains. This time there were students who were gravely injured. How did you explain this to their families, and what are some of the steps that you'll be taking to ensure their safety in the future?" Nezu answers, "We will increase patrols around the school grounds and increase security measures within the school. The safety of UA students is the main priority. Make no mistake about it." Another member of the press says, "You spoke about keeping the students safe, Razorhead, but according to our information, you encouraged them to fight during the attack on the training camp, putting them in grave danger. What was your reasoning for that?" Aizawa says, "I concluded that because we didn't know the full situation, allowing them to use their quirks would avoid the worst possible outcome." The reporter asks, "And what would that outcome be?" "Do you think 25 victims and 2 kidnapped children is a win for UA High?" Aizawa answers, "I assure you, things could have gone much more poorly. I feared every student would be tortured and killed in the end." Nezu says, "Most of the victims were harmed by the gas attack. We've determined it to be come from one of the poisonous quirks used by one of the villains. It's thanks to the quick actions of Miss Kendo and Mr. Tetsu that injuries were kept to a bare minimum. Additionally, we're providing emotional health counseling to every student, although at the moment we haven't seen any signs of serious psychological trauma." The reporter asks, "So, you found a bright spot in this strategy." Nezu says, "We're relieved that an entire class of burgeoning heroes still has a future." The reporter asks, "Can you say the same thing about the abducted Izuku Midoriya and Fumikage Tokoyami? They enrolled at your school with great marks and a bright future. However, their past also indicates a lot of bullying because of their mutant aspect of their quirks. What if they are brainwashed? What if the League is brainwashing the 2 students right now, pulling them towards the path of evil? How can you sit there and tell us that they still have a future? Aizawa stands up and bows, saying afterwards, as their teacher, I think that there is nothing to worry about. Both Midoriya and Tokuyami have deep-seated convictions of heroism. They are trying extremely hard to become heroes. If the villains think they have a chance with them, then they're grossly mistaken. I can tell you that much. The reporter says, I didn't ask what you felt. I asked if you had concrete information. Nezu says, we're doing our best with the intel we currently have. The police will break this case very soon. In the bar, the students wake up while in a different part of Kamino, a group of students, led by Bakugo, keep searching for a GPS locator. In the bar, the students are now awake. They have been for a bit. Shigaraki turns and says, isn't that strange? The heroes are becoming the bad guys. Seems like they aren't dealing with the situation very well. Not very well at all. So much criticism. But everyone makes a mistake or two, right? It's not like everyone is perfect. Modern heroes sure have it rough, don't you think? Midoriya teleports out of his restraints to above the chair, sitting on it, and says, maybe, but then again, who has it easy? I mean, you guys have it even harder. Things do get hard for everyone. Being able to forgive our mistakes is what makes us special. Compress says, how did he get out? I'm going to... Shigaraki stops him before he can do anything and says, we're all equals here. Dabi, let him go. Tokoyami is then let out as well. Tokoyami gets ready to attack if Midoriya stops him. Midoriya asks, what do you have to say? Shigaraki says, I didn't expect you to be so cooperative. Midoriya says, I'm not saying I'm being cooperative, but you went through the trouble of attacking the camp and getting us here. Can I have a glass of water? Shigaraki says, Kurogiri. Kurogiri gets a glass and fills it with water and hands it to Midoriya. Tokoyami asks, Midoriya, what are you doing? Why are you negotiating with the villains? Midoriya says, I'm just looking to understand where they're coming from. Shigaraki asks, so you're playing devil's advocate? Midoriya says, no, that would imply that I work for the devil. In this case, I am the devil. Midoriya takes a sip from the glass of water and says, I mean, look at me. Anyway, so what do you want? Shigaraki says, for you to join us, of course. Tokoyami asks, why do you ask? You must know as Hero Corps students that will not happen. Shigaraki says, still, I hope to convince you. I've seen your kind of quirk before. A quirk that makes you look different to everyone else. You were probably bullied from a young age, and it hasn't stopped yet. You hoped it would by now, but it hasn't. Join us, and you'll be just another member. No discrimination, no preference, no bullying. No, we're equals. As it should be. All of us here were discarded by society, in one way or another. Maybe we look different. Maybe our quirks were too scary. Maybe they just didn't like us. But we're here now, an alliance of outcasts, taking back what was stolen from us. Izuku Midoriya, Fumikawa Tokoyami, will you join us? Midoriya takes another sip of his water and says, no thank you, as he puts the water down. At the same time, someone knocks on the door and says, I got a pizza delivery here. And from behind Spinner in the wall comes caving in as All Might yells, Smash! Midoriya says, finally! He grabs onto Tokoyami and teleports away into the city. All Might thinks, good, young Midoriya. You got onto the plan. Shigaraki says, Kurogiri, gate! Kamali Woods comes into the building, trapping the villains in place. The rest of the heroes' attack goes successfully until a black sludge starts coming out of the members of the League of Villains, and they are teleported away. In the middle of the street, as they run away, Midoriya and Tokoyami are taken as well. All Might rushes after them. catching up with All For One. At the destroyed factory, All Might shows up as All For One tells his disciple to run away. A huge explosion is created and a wall of ice as well. Midoriya grabs onto Tokuyama and teleports on top of the wall of ice, sliding down. Midoriya says, "Hello guys." Bakugo says, "Whenever you feel like getting us out of here." Midoriya says, You came here without a plan to escape?" Bakugo says, "You are the plan, now get us out of here." Midoriya says, "I have little stamina left." Bakugo says, "Just do it." They all bounce away, reappearing 300 meters away, with Midoriya passing out. Bakugo grabs his unconscious body and says, "We need to get to the police." All Might as always has his confrontation with All For One, whereas the League escape. All Might manages to win, but he loses all his remaining power in the process. After the events, Midoriya is taken into police custody and taken home afterwards. Midoriya looks at a video in a couple days later, Midoriya looks at a video in his computer. We all know which one. When behind him a portal opens. Anyway, that's where I'm leaving it here for today. The episode, yeah. As always, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any suggestions, theories, or whatnot, please leave them in the comments below. And until next time, everyone, have an absolutely fantastic day. Bye!